Hello, hello, hello. Thank you
Hello.
all for joining us today. Welcome to another SaiYunaste Soul Tribe Soul Chat with me, Allison May. Today I have the gorgeous, fantastic, magical, amazing, incredible, stupendous, oh my gosh, all around badass Laura Smith from Ascending Butterflies. She's just beautiful. Laura, like, for those of you who don't know, like, I'm seriously in love with Laura, guys. Like, just incredible. Just to give you a little background story, we met in another group last year, and it was just like the most amazing thing. Laura lives in Scotland, right? So I'm over here in the States, and I secretly kind of like have to thank COVID a little bit to give us the space to like be able to find each other. And from the first moment of just connecting with Laura, girl, I knew you were special. Like, your ability to do everything is like the most amazing thing. Somebody's calling me right now. It's so fine. For those of you who know, like in real time when you're joining us for the live, please say hello. It's me that you're here. We are, it's 8 a.m. where I'm at, which is like such perfect timing. And I guess that makes it 1 o'clock where you are, right? You're 5 hours ahead. Yeah.
1 o'clock.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Laura, and then Laura, I'm just going to like let you take off. If everyone want to just say hello. And once again, thank you for joining us. Oh, by the way, we're streaming live in Ascending Butterflies, Laura's amazing group. So if you're not a part of that, go check it out. It is so supportive and kind and just like really just such a beautiful safe space, which is what we're all about, is creating safe spaces for all of us to be able to learn and grow in our own unique ways and be supported. That's really important about our overall tribe. Ascending Butterflies has been a sister group from us from day one. Obviously, we're coming from 2 other groups. Whew, I'm getting excited. Okay, I'm getting emotional. Okay, so Laura Smith, empath, like, you know, I'm calling you another life attunement coach. Like, you just have helped so many people. In this time period that I've known you, I've watched so many people grow. Ascending Butterflies, which we're going to talk about a little bit, kind of like where that came from, is just such a beautiful place. But I would like to start from the beginning. So back in the day, before all of this, when did you like know, or when did you discover that you just weren't a regular human?
Quite young, to be honest with you. I was a bit of a troubled little soul, and I never really understood why until later, but I would get affected with low moods, and I would feel myself. I always seem to be drawn to the underdogs, the ones that were like, you know, honestly, all my life, that is the kind of people I've always gravitated, and they've come towards me. It's like those that are, you know, either getting bullied or those that just don't feel like they fit in. But I can remember crying a lot and not knowing why I was crying. And even my mum, you know, would probably be like, but what's wrong? And I didn't know. I just felt so many things, and I was so sensitive, and used to have so many bad nightmares, and silly things would scare me. So I was really, really sensitive.
Yeah.
I just thought at the time I was defective. There's no other word.
Right. Yeah.
Defected, broken.
And so you continued on still like unknowingly transmuting all of this other people's energies, and like, so you're getting into like your teenage years and like just really like adding that whole adventure on top, and you made it through, you know, and I've come just from connecting with so many of us in our tribes, and just in general of holding on to the ability at a young age to transmute so much energy and to be that empath, and not having any teachers and not even really like knowing what's wrong. Like, we really did gravitate towards trauma. It just came. So something that I really just adore about you is how open you are about so many experiences in your life that really kind of put you where you are today. And can you just speak a little bit about, however comfortable you are, of course, of like the moment when you realized that like you were going to make your life different, right? Like that moment.
Yeah, well, do you know, there's a few points. I mean, obviously, the teenage years were a bit of a nightmare, because I struggled with my emotions. I was for years, and I mean, I've spoke about this openly anyway, but I did suffer with bulimia for years, and it wasn't because, I mean, I was always a little bit overweight, and I was kind of teased about it, but it wasn't about that for me. It was like more a control thing, because I wasn't able to, and that's how like people with addictions and things I really gel to, because I understand like there's more to it than just, oh, you think you're fat, or oh, you know, you're depressed. It's about control. And I think because so much was out of my control, and I was going through, you know, terrible first relationship, but it's, you know, it's always the same when you have your first love, you hang on in there, and there was just so much going on I couldn't control, that I just thought, I'm going to control this, you know. And then before I knew it, and I had a really stressful job. It was brilliant. I was like training to be a manager with one of the local supermarkets, but it was stressful, and it was 12-hour days here, there, everywhere. And I just find myself, thinking I need to control, because I couldn't control how I was feeling. And I think because I was amongst so many people, I was unknowingly soaking up all their, you know, how they were feeling. And so it got to that point. Then I met my oldest son's dad when I was 21. And I started to click out of it a little bit. I started to feel, you know, not that that relationship was perfect, by the way, by any means, but I started to click out of that sort of frame of that, doing that sort of thing to myself. But then it kind of just traveled to other things, like really bad OCD and really bad, like, you know, it's there's no magic switch. And that's what I always tell people. There is no magic switch. And things never go away. You've got to constantly be aware of them, and constantly, you know, just look out for the little signs yourself. But I think it was really spiritually wise when I lost my gran and granddad quite close together, and then I lost my uncle, and then we lost Liam's dad. So that was all quite, you know, within a couple of years. And Liam's father was an alcoholic, bless him. You know, he wasn't a bad person, but you can imagine the kind of relationship we had. I had to walk away when Liam was only a year old, and that hurt more than anything, because being empathic, I wanted to help him, and I felt like I was, you know, abandoning him, and that was one of the most difficult times. But also the time that kind of turned me around, you know. I kind of started to think, right, come on, you know, and then I realized that I was empathic, so I wasn't broken, and I wasn't deceptive, so that made me feel better.
Like, none of this is my shit.
I'm actually not broken, so that's good. And just little things from there on, really.
That's amazing. I love it so much. So you're here and you're growing, and you're just really just coming to center of like, oh my gosh, this isn't me, it's just all of this other stuff, and changing gears and having this experience. And thank you so much for sharing all of that, because I know that's like just so much heart right there. And is that the time when you started getting into like the intuitive part, tapping into that, and like really figuring that out, and kind of how started looking into like connecting with people in that manner? How did you get there? Like how did you get to reading cards and really connecting with people in their heart space?
See, that was a really, I've always been interested. Like when I was 15, 16, there was a group of us, and we were always interested. You know, we used to go down to the church, and we used to be interested in the spooky side of things, shall I say. And, you know, dabbling a bit there. And I was always keen on getting my cards read myself. I did go to various places, and I think the one point that really made me think, wow, this is real, was I went to see someone. Now, she did tell me things I didn't want to hear, but they were spot on. and it actually transpired that what she'd said happened. And I thought, wow, so it's, you know, this happens. So I started joining Facebook pages and just sort of thinking, I'm going to get a bit more into this myself. And it was actually the group we met on, but the one before that, I met the leader of that group, shall we say.
Mm-hmm.
And she, I mean, looking back now, she done me a favour, but she tuned in on me and she was like, right, you need to be doing this. And I was like, what? Like, I'm just here getting readings. What? I don't. And she really pushed me into it. And before I knew it, honestly, I was sitting doing lives going, oh my God. And the first couple were really uncomfortable. Like, I was like, oh, I just can't do it. But she did teach me quite a bit and pushed me, like, which at the time was scary, but then it kind of just grew on from there. And then I realised when people are saying, oh yeah, that's right, and whatever, I'm like, okay, and you get that bit of confidence. And then it just really from there went to obviously meeting you guys.
Amazing.
Which is mental how that happened, because I'd left that group, had a bit of time out, and I thought, no, I need to go back. And that's when you were all in there.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, so it was meant to be. I was meant to go back.
Yeah. And really just such a beautiful thing. And once we kind of worked out that, and that time period for all of us was really tumultuous. There was just like so much going on in our own personal lives, and really, you know, and all of these shadows are coming up, and some of them, you know, physical trauma for our family members and sickness and all, like just crazy things, like all together, we're all like, what's happening, right? And so we all kind of just shifted out and back in. And that's really when we started diving into being like, okay, like I think we need to spread our wings out a little further and add some more mix in, because there's so many people that are called to us, and you know, that we you know, we're here to be of service to. And you birthed Ascending Butterflies. And
Yep.
Can you talk about this? Like I have such a, like, when I think about this group, my heart just swells like this, because I've personally seen so many people change and grow and heal from your coaching, your just ability to connect, the cards, all of that. Can you talk about how Ascending Butterflies kind of just like came to be, was birthed?
Well, it was actually a mixture of you and Bridget. Because Bridget was like, why have you not? So obviously I'd done a wee while on Soul Collective, and she says, why have you not got your own page? And you'd all been sort of saying it to me, and I was like, oh, I hadn't really thought about it. So one night I just sat there, and I can't take the credit for the name, because that was actually Colin. Because I'm sitting there going, right, I'm going to do this. Well, I've kind of got the courage to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm just going to blah, blah, blah. I says, I need a name. And I knew it had to be Butterflies, because butterflies is just something, I've always loved butterflies. I just think they're beautiful, and they represent what I want to represent. That sort of, you know, you go through that dark time, but then you come out the other side and you're this beautiful, you know, butterfly. You're free, you're sort of flying high. So I said to him, what are we going to do? And he came up with, I have to say, I'll give him the credit. He's like, what about Ascending Butterflies? And I was like, that's it.
Oh my gosh.
When he said it, I was like, away going tight. And before I knew it, the group was there. And it started off really, really small. It was just intimate. It was just people that I'd obviously used were there, and people that I'd met through the other group that had kind of, blessed them, they really had followed me, which was just amazing. And then, I don't know, literally just something happened. But you told me, because when I done my soul activation with you, you said, and that was months ago, you said it's going to get big. And I was like thinking, well, you know, it was never about numbers or stuff for me. It was just having the right people there. So I never saw it. And then before I knew it, we were like creeping up to 1,000. And I was like, wow, how's this happened? But to be honest, it was more I liked seeing people coming back and saying that they're doing well now, or that they've got through whatever it was they were struggling with. That's really what makes me happy. That's why I set it up, because not that I was ever lonely, because I had a brilliant family. I really did. I couldn't ask for a better family. But I always felt quite alone, because I didn't understand my feelings, and because they didn't understand why I was like that. It was a very lonely kind of journey till I got here. So I just thought, no, I don't want anyone feeling alone. That was all I really wanted, was so no one felt that loneliness, because you'll know yourself, it's horrible when you feel nobody understands you, or you feel like out of place, or like you shouldn't be there. So that really was the main thing behind it. The card readings and that I love, but there is a lot more to it as well. It's like I've got more than just the card readings. It's more about just helping people get through it and knowing that you can.
Yeah, and it's so interesting you say that too, because I think the cards at this point in the game for all of us really is more for people to have a comfort, like a familiarity, because it's what we do is so unique in the style, because it's not done in the way that it should be by the books. Like, like going to school, learning all the, like, we know stuff about the brain, we know how things work, but it really is such a heart-centered space, and that's, and then to have to give it a name, right? And then there's like all these rules about it, and we're just like, in true healer form, what we do is I mean, it is, that's why I just call it life attunement coaching, because I'm just like, you're just gonna come, we're gonna figure it out, and keep coming. And this is something that you do so well, and you are so giving in as many of these sweet little mini reads that you do for people to help them just kind of like crack open the top to allow them to kind of see things. And I don't know if you all have spent private time with Laura, to connect like in a session with her is just like the most beautiful thing. And Laura, I've said this forever, you have just such a beautiful way of seeing the darkest parts and like really, and like connecting with them and really being able to translate them to the recipient, right? The other person, in such a beautiful and loving way. There's no judgment. There's no, you have to do it this way, or you should be this way. Just to really just, your heart just opens, and it's like just beautiful support. And the continuation of that is so amazing, because I've seen so many people, like truly, like you said, just heal. And it just blows my mind in a way. So for those of you who have not had the opportunity to work privately with Laura, I strongly recommend it. It's just such a beautiful place to be. Ascending Butterflies, of course, is like just such a dreamy little space. There's a few of us on there. You'll see we kind of like dip in like different groups together, because we have different things, and we just love each other so much and want to be supportive in any way. Yes, Laura Smith is one of the most giving souls I've ever had the pleasure of connecting with. Right. Like that forever. I mean, you truly are this beautiful, incredible angel. I mean, just how you speak and how you love and how you connect is just amazing. Like I felt that way from the beginning. I was like, I'm so in love with you. This is amazing. And thank you so much for coming on today. I know we were kind of like we're in this time period now, friends, where we're just like, we just have to go with the flow and be like, okay, this feels like a good time, which is just such an interesting place to be, right? Because we're taught to be so regimented in our schedule, but we just picked this day like eons ago, and we just kind of fell into it, and we're like, oh, there's the time, and it happened. It was so spectacular. Okay, in about 8 minutes, guys, I'm going to open up the forum and the floor and all that good stuff to questions, anything that you want to ask Laura directly. Please put in the comment section, and we will get them answered. I just love to bat my eyes at you and just be like, look at us. Like it's so amazing, especially just from, when you spoke about just how you got to where you are is really just incredible. And I think that's, such a beautiful thing to share with people, because it gives so many people hope in their moments.
Yeah, exactly. That's all. I think that's what I'll say to anyone. If you've gone through a hard time, there is a way to use that to help other people, because that's when you most understand. But you can also sit there and say, none of us are perfect, in the sense of you'll have your bad days, I still have my bad days. And I think people need to be aware of that, because there isn't just going to be, oh, I'm spiritual now and everything's going to be hunky-dory. that just doesn't happen. And if anybody tells you that, they are lying to you, because you still have everyday life coming along. But I think what it does is it allows you to handle it a little bit better, because, you know, before I used to be really anxious about things, and I used to be quite short-tempered, believe it or not, because now I'm just so laid back. But things used to really wind me up, and I used to get, you know, you'd find that bite, oh, I'm going to say something, I'm going to say something. Whereas when you realise the bigger picture, you go, it's not even worth it. Like, you know, I think it was Gail had said to me, God, if you were any more laid back, you'd be lying down. And I was like, well, probably I'd love to spend a lot more time sleeping. But
Yeah, right.
I'm more able now to see that there's some things that aren't worth getting het up about, because you're only hurting yourself at the end of the day. And I think that's a strong lesson to learn. When you react to other people, it's only you getting wound up. It's only you that's getting that sort of, you know, it's only yourself you're hurting. The other people don't really care, and it's sad, but it's true. So it is about doing it for yourself. You've got to keep that balance for yourself. But I still get days where I get, you know, my confidence might be a little bit low, or, you know, I'm still perfectly normal in that sense. And I don't think there'll ever be a day where any of us will say, oh no, we never think like that, we're always like confident and full of this, because that's just not true either, is it? Let's
Right.
be honest. We're going to have self-confident like days, or not confident days, but it's about working through them and not letting them consume and go on for 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. You know, you give yourself a shake and you go, come on. I'm a great believer in not getting hooked up, and I guess it's because the bulimia, I will not ever get hooked up on what I look like ever again, because it really isn't that important in the grand scheme of things. If you are a nice person, and that's, you know, I want the people that are kind, and that is the eyes as well. I've got a thing about the eyes. Like, if someone's got nice, gentle eyes, it's like, I don't care what you look like, because some of the most gorgeous people in the world are horrible. You know, they've got nastiness, and they've got that ego. And so I just think there's more to life now. And I'll say that to anybody, like, please, especially younger people, because the pressure's on to look this way and to be skinny and to be this and that. But you waste so much of your life worrying about it, and you're miserable. See, when you've got an eating disorder, or when you're consciously watching what you're eating, because the hunger makes you very crabby.
Yeah. Yes, that's so true.
Very irritable, and it makes you very crabby, and you waste so much of your time. And then you hit 40 or 50 and you go, God, I really shouldn't have been like that to myself. That's the one thing I look back and go, I shouldn't have treated myself like that, you know. But I've only learned that because I did it, or I wouldn't be able to say that. So
yeah. And you've dedicated so much of your life now to really helping people be able to express that energy and to support them. And, you know, I end up catching like most of your replays because I'm like, it says 5 a.m. I'm going to get up. I'm getting up. I'm gonna, but what I see consistently all the time is how you're supportive no matter what it is, you know, and how that just is so transmuted in the love, and then watching it over time and everyone coming through, because like you said, like it really is just like you know, from the darkness into the light, and being able to walk by that, and how you've used your experiences and your wisdom to really be of service to others in such a beautiful and caring way. And the difference in so many people's lives, like including myself, you know, that you've made is such a beautiful impact, or things that we're going to remember in other lives, right? Next round, I'll be like, remember when we were human in that one crazy life?
yeah.
But thank God. Yeah.
Don't fear the shadow side. That's what I always say. I mean, if someone said to me, right, let's take you back in time, is there anything that you would change? Is there anything that you want to do differently? I actually wouldn't, because there's nothing, there's things I've done that I'm not proud of. But if I hadn't done them, then I wouldn't be me now. So I kind of just think you've got to embrace that side of you, you know, and be aware of it, but use it to your advantage. Don't let it destroy you. And I say that to anybody that I speak to. And I do, I'm always open to people messaging me. I have certain people that I've spoke to for months and months, and that's just something that I do because I like to know, like I like them to know I'm there, and but don't be scared of it. It's like the devil card. When I was learning it with Bridget, I was like, that's one of my favourite cards, because actually you need to be friends a bit with the devil. You need to be friends with your shadow side because it's who you are.
Yeah, and that's something we've always vibed on from the beginning, when we're both like, and and eventually at some point we'll get around to doing our like shadow walking courses and all of that whenever it comes into alignment, because it's really about seeing that other side of us, and learning the lessons and everything. And like I'll never forget, you're like you just have to like befriend your shadow, and I was like, yes queen, exactly, like bringing the unity and everything, and loving the whole part of yourself. And it's just it is. And we're so trained, and you've said this before, how we like train ourselves, we have an experience, we train ourselves that that's how it is, right? And I talk about this too a little bit, like with how the brain works and all that stuff, but like that's what we know. So to transition out of that and to create a new reality essentially is really fun. Like it's tough. It's tough.
And it's not all hearts and roses, and it's not all, and it's like healing, no matter how much you've got to do, whether you've got to heal or a little bit, it hurts. And sometimes it hurts more than the actual event, because a lot of us go through life looking in as a third person. That's how I've described it. If I've had traumas in the past, I've almost looked in as a third person, so I've not actually experienced it. I think we do it to sort of protect ourselves, to stop things hurting. But then when you're healing, you have to actually be that person. You have to feel it. So it's going to hurt. But if you never do it, you're always going to have it there. And it's always going to be one thing that triggers you. And to be free, you need to go through that pain. And I know that's not what people want to hear, but it's the truth.
Yeah. But this is what I love about what you do so much, is that you're just like, spirituality and healing is not, you will be better at the end, but to go through it is really sometimes kind of horrible. Like, like you just said, like it's so right. You're just so good. All right, we've rounded out to, I've had you all to myself for 30 whole minutes. So now I'm going to let others ask questions. So if anyone in the comment section, thanks so much for joining us with Laura Smith today, the founder of Ascending Butterflies, and just a beautiful and incredible intuitive coach. Oh my gosh, queen, I can't. Please feel free to ask any questions, especially if you came on later, which is so fine, because we all like work in different, like we're literally like all over the world at this point.
Yeah.
Anything in the actual time, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm here in real time and it's happening. So please feel free to ask questions. What do you have any plans for the future of the group or yourself, or what you're doing? I know I'm always pestering you to like officially do all the coaching stuff. And
no, I think that is a definite, because as much as I love doing the cards, and I do, I mean, I love my cards and all that, but I just feel like I was thinking about it because I had a bit of a quiet couple of weeks because I hadn't been well and the household wasn't been well, and I had a chance to sort of think, and I was like, there's more. There's more that I need to do, and I do think it's more on a one-to-one with people. Like, it's more about, and I'll never like desert anyone. I think that's the important thing about the butterflies, is it's about getting you through each stage. I'm not just going to say, right, you've had your fix, now we're done, and go and deal with it. But on the other hand, it's also important that people need to know that none of us can fix them. We can help, we can support, and we can, give them advice, but ultimately it has to come from them. Each person has to want it. But I do think there's coaching, that sounds a good word to use. I do need to be doing more of that, and I've been thinking about it for a while. I mean, I'm almost doing it anyway on my readings, because of my readings, and gosh, as you know, like, I don't do standard readings. Nope. I don't do them like,
no, you coach.
My tarot's just, it is a bit rude, but it's only because that's how I've been able to understand it. Mm-hmm. And although I'll say, I won't say it because it's early, but although I'll say the rude things, the messages are still there and they're still what they need to be. But it's like, I don't believe anything should be set in stone. If you're reading cards, you read them how you want to read them. And that's as long as the message is coming out. And I think people like a laugh as well. I think sometimes we need a laugh. You know, I think
Yeah.
life can be serious enough. I think sometimes having a laugh, but equally, the balance has got to be right. Because I've got to make sure the messages are still coming, but I like to have the laugh as well, you know, so it's getting the balance. I'm not serious all the time. I mean, I'm not serious in my house either, so I'm very rarely serious, and my friends will tell you that anyway. I'm a bit cuckoo, but I've
So
embraced
funny.
it now, and I love it.
Yeah. And that, you know, and it's just such a beautiful part to experience you too, right? Because like working with you, like you said, like it's not all serious. There is so much laughter and love, because even within this time period that we all each go through in our darkest hours, there still is that beauty of laughter, which changes everything. And you're so good about bringing it in, like this, you know, the chats, like just some group chats I'm in. I'm just like, how did we get here? This is amazing.
Yeah.
Like I wake up and I'm like, yay, so much has happened. And I just read and giggle along the way. And I'm just like, oh, it's such a beautiful way to start my day, which is so lovely. Oh
You've got to laugh. You have to have a
yeah.
laugh. And you know what? I think you have to be able to laugh at yourself too. I think that is a huge, important thing. Don't take yourself too seriously, you know. I think that's important, because I used to, and now I'm just like, well, whatever. I don't actually care. I'll sing in a supermarket, or I'll sing anywhere I am. And you know, my mum, she's always like, remember where we are. And she does. She says it every time, and I'm like, I don't really care. I'll just sing louder. If people don't want to look, and don't look, don't listen. But it's taken a long time to get to that point. You know,
Yeah.
it's not happened overnight, but that's where I'm at now. Take me or leave me, and that's it.
Yeah. And I think this is so great. This kind of ties into one of the questions from one of our guests is, what would be your top 3 best bits of advice in general?
In general, well, I would say definitely that one of them is, don't be too serious about yourself, okay? I think if you're able to take what you class as, it's all about the shadow side, really. You know, it's about using that. And I can't remember, do you know what it was? It was Game of Thrones that says it perfectly. If you know what you are and own it, then people can't use it against you. Like, I can't remember the exact quote, but I'm a believer in that. And that's what I say to Liam at school when he's going to school. I'm like, as long as you're comfortable and you embrace yourself, and you're not scared, because a lot of the time when I was younger, the problem was I took myself too seriously, I think. And when people said stuff, it hurt. Whereas now I'm just like, well, whatever, you know. So I do think, don't take yourself too seriously, but also respect yourself. You have to respect and love yourself. And I can't say that enough. Like, you have to. And that means warts and all. That means parts and all. That means everything. You have to love every part of you, because without the dark side of you, you're not going to be you either. So it's about realizing that makes you you, and you're unique. So definitely self-love. And respect, which then obviously boundaries, which are my favourite word. But and thirdly, I would just say, realize what life really is. It's an experience. We're here to experience things. So don't, you know, when you're in a really tough time, it's hard at the time, but there is always hope afterwards. It's here to teach you a lesson. So take the lesson for what it is, and then move on. Don't ever carry baggage from the past. That's a definite. Yeah, I think that's more than a clue, but anyway.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, girl, I love it. Yeah, those are 3 beautiful things. Okay, we've got this is a very intimate question, which I know we all go through this, so this makes so much. The question is, how can I get into a more positive, happier path? The last 2 years have been very challenging and painful, but necessary. I have lost so much, but now seek to be a more positive, happy soul. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I can totally, honestly, I can totally relate to that. And it's going back to what I said earlier. It's about using all that pain and all the, you know, all the trauma you've been through. It's about using it. It's about building the foundation stronger to help others. I honestly do believe if you've had a really traumatic life, whether you've gone through a lot of grief or trauma, whatever it is, your purpose is to help others. It's preparing you so you can get down on that level and you can truly understand how someone feels, you know? So I honestly believe those that suffer are here to help others further down the line. So it is about using that. And you know, when you help somebody through something that you've been through yourself, it's the most amazing feeling. You can't beat it. You really, really can't. So it is, but you have to make sure you've come at peace with what's happened, and you can talk about it, and there's no part of you that you're kind of ashamed of. You need to make sure all that's there first, but it's about using it to your advantage, because there's lessons in all of that, and there's blessings as well. And I think we forget that when we're stuck in trauma. We have that, why me? Why does this always happen to me? What have I done to deserve this? Because it's all words I've used myself. But it's actually twisting that and going, right, I've been gifted with this unique experience, so I can take something out of that and help someone else. That's literally the only way I can describe it. That's what worked for me.
Amazing. That is such beautiful wisdom and advice. Thank you so much. Yes. Yes to all of that. Oh, good. I hope that helps, dear friend. Please let us know. Of course, as Laura said, always feel free to reach out to her directly through her group. However, like, I can always direct traffic too. So if you're already connected with me, I can get you connected with Laura, so you don't have to get, like, we try to make it as easy as possible, friends. Trust me. Like, it's especially, and Lauren has said this before, when you're in that place, it's even to ask the first help is like, it's so much. And we honor that courage and bravery to come forth and say, I'm not okay, and I need support, and that's why we birthed these places. That's why SaiYunaste came to be, and why Ascending Butterflies, right? It is really about holding space and helping us find each other in that, the right connections, right? The right heart to heart, which is so great.
You're not alone in it. You're not, and you're not crazy, and you're not, it's okay not to be okay as well. Like, that saying is so true. It really is okay. We are living in quite a cruel world, and that's the way I see it. And especially if you're empathic, or anything like that, you are surrounded by narcissists, you're surrounded by hate, you're surrounded by racism, all the horrible things in the world, and it hurts. So it is okay to actually not be okay with this, because it is quite a cruel world. It is. And I think that's what a lot of us struggle with. It's that sort of, how can people be so cruel? But unfortunately, some people are, they really, no rhyme or reason. A lot of it's because they're not happy in themselves, or they've gone through a rubbish time, and they then want to make others feel rubbish, but it's about understanding it.
Yeah. Oh my God. Just pouring out the wisdom. Oh, it's so good. I love it. Okay, we have another question. It's really saying, do you meditate to see your shadow side? Ooh, that's a good question.
Ooh, so I am not the greatest meditator in the world. I am now really good at meditating to ground myself and protect myself, and I will do that now. And I have done a few higher self ones where it's been amazing. I've actually looked back at things in my life that I've either been ashamed of, or things that I've not been happy with, and I had a tear and I had a cry for them. But to be honest with you, I have looked at them for so long, I'm just aware of them. I know I don't need to even, and I don't mean this, I am not being big-headed, I just mean I know what all my flaws are, and I'm not ashamed to say it. So, I know I get a bit sometimes. I know I can get anxious. I know I can get jealous. I'm a human living this human life, so I get all these things. So I'm comfortable with them, and they don't. The more you work with your shadow side, okay, and the more you sort of look at things, and especially other people helping you, because sometimes you need someone else there as well to go, well, actually, did you realise that what you're feeling here, because I've had that as well from you, from Bridget. Doing a past life regression really helped, because I also understood why I'm doing what I am today. But I'm comfortable with them, but I'm also comfortable. I'm not scared of things anymore. I'm not scared of the darkness, because I understand we need it. We need the balance. So it's just about not being scared anymore. It's about not shutting things out. We all get jealous. We all get insecure. We all get them feelings. So let them be, but don't let them consume you. And I still get them now. So, and I'm quite happy. And it's like if you've had an addiction or whether you've had an eating disorder, there's always going to be thoughts that come back. It's not like you can switch it off and that's you healed, and but it's about being aware of them and not fearing them and not trying to bury them down, because I think when we do that, that's when things get overwhelming and boom, before we know it. So I just don't know. It's a hard question, but I just don't know. I'm aware of them and I'm just happy with them. I know that sounds bad. There's some things that people might go, God, how could you be happy with that? But you have to be. It's who you are.
Loving your whole self.
Yeah. You can't just, it's like, see, when you love your children or you love your mum and your dad and your parents or whatever, or your partner, you have to love them for their whole self. So that means even if they've got stinking feet, which, not that I'm saying Colin does, but he does, or even if they fart a lot, or even if they're ignorant sometimes, or they talk too much, whatever it is, you have to embrace all of that, because that's ultimately it's all a package. So you can't go, well, you know what, I don't love you because your feet smell. Well, that's not really, you're never, no one's perfect. There's always going to be flaws in every single person.
Yeah. And I just, I love how that is truly your heart's theme of acceptance of the whole self. And really just, I have to come back to this because it's just so moving to me about how you really connect with people's whole selves, and you just like, oh, I love that part of you too. Like, it's so, like you just said, it's so okay to not be okay, and to help and support that. Yeah. So it's almost like meditation is such an interesting thing, right? But just even the knowing in that way is almost like a meditative state,
Mm-hmm.
and like you're just so connected, like you've spent that time hanging out with your grief and your fear and your trauma and all of that, and just being like, okay, guys, like, let's all sit at the table and connect and like really talk about things. And when they step in, right, they're a friend that steps in and says, be alert of this, how, hi. And you are so good at helping people turn toward that and go, okay, like, let's do this. Let's work on this together. Not like, I don't want to see this, or how could I do that? And it's just so amazing. Like I just fan over you all day. Like I'm like, tell me more, like connect with me, everything. And do you want to talk about like what kind of things that you do in the group a little bit, like how people can connect with you, that kind of stuff? Because we're kind of like rounding up to the hour. So I just want to make sure people have all that good information to be with you.
Well, I mean, so it's over on Ascending Butterflies, but it's not just me, and I always say this, I started the group, but I always see it like nothing's ever just one person. So there's obviously yourself, and there's Bridget, and there's a whole lot, and there's Jared, there's so many good readers on there. And we do try to do lives when we can. There's always like wall posts, but I love putting up little inspirational quotes. I think to start your day off and to go to sleep with, it's nice to have that, and it doesn't mean that some people don't like lives because it does get very personal. And while we try to hold back as much as we can, to give a proper reading, sometimes you've got to go a little bit deep, and not everyone's comfortable with that, and
right.
I totally respect that. So obviously, there is more one-to-one things. We are going to start up some more courses again, and obviously with the holidays and stuff, it's been quieter because we've got kids running about, and but there will be courses, and hoping to do a bit of meditation. Not me, because I'm not the best. I couldn't teach it, but I would like to have a little, meditation every week where people can just, can sit there, and because I think that's important.
Yeah.
I think it's allocating a little bit of time. We all have to have a chat. As readers, we need to have a chat at some point, because there is so many things. I also, and if Sam's watching, she'll kill me, but I had a brainwave about doing a live one night from a church. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm really excited about this. So it would actually be like, I'd take my dowser and we would video it and go around a church. So I don't know when we'll do it, and she's probably on here now going, I'm not going, I'm scared. But there's so many things, and Bridget's going to be doing our course as well through it. I'm trying to think, Dina, I hope she doesn't mind me saying, but I'm hoping that once she gets the wording right, she's going to do like a Zoom art thing. Now, do not be scared, people. You do not have to be an artist. This is about you literally not thinking about what you're drawing. You know, she'll guide us. There'll be music, whatever she does, and I'm going to do it myself because it's about empire healing, and you let yourself draw what comes out naturally. So that's going to happen. So many, like I say, if I could get some sort of support group back up and running, once a week, I'll definitely do that. There's so many possibilities. I just need us all together now, because I can't do all the things. I'm aware that I'm not very good at the meditation side. I'm aware that, you know, you've got your soul language, which I'm still learning. So I don't see Ascending Butterflies as me. It's not just me. Like, I need everybody there to make it go. So there's so much coming up, though, once we all get a chat. But meditation is a definite. I need to get that going once a week. So
I will commit to that. I can commit to, you know, I love to.
Yeah, because you love that. And it's giving somebody once a week where they can take the time out to, and it's there on replay. It's going to be there. So you go back. And I think people struggle with meditation. So I think that's important. And yeah, we're there to have what people need. So I'm always like, if there's something you want, tell us, and one of us will be able to.
I'm sure, right? And I love that so much too. It takes a tribe.
Oh, it takes. I couldn't do it on my own. I would not be here with the people around me, and I'm not ever at a point, you know. Oh, but you created the group. Okay, I gave it the name. Well, I didn't even do that. Colin did. I set it up, but it wouldn't be what it is without everybody in it, and that includes the members. There's the world bigger than one person.
Yes, and that's so beautiful, and you know, and you know, that's something that we clicked on right away. We connected with. We're like, man, like, there's just so many of us, and so many, you know, let's just come together and figure it out, and really work together to help us all have a better day. Something that you said that I love so much, and you've have such an amazing dedication to doing, is the good morning butterflies with the quote, and then good night butterflies. And that is just creates such a solid foundation of safety, of a knowing, of a comfort, of like, okay, this thing's going to be here, right? Because there are things in our life that we choose to gravitate towards that give us comfort, and not all of them are necessarily good for us. Alcohol, you know, cigarettes, like all these other sugar, right? Food, all the sex, all like, there's so many things where we're craving that stability and that sanctuary and that safety, and think, okay, I know where I stand right here, right now. Like, I know it, that, you know, I've always had this. And I've just seen, for me personally, in this long run now, because the group's been going strong for a while, is how just comforting it is, right? Just to let that, to me, is just everything, because it doesn't matter. And I wake up and go to sleep like there's like a 5-hour difference, right? So like, I wake up and y'all have been up for 5 hours at least already. Right. And I'm just like, and the first thing that pops up is always your good morning. And it's so beautiful, because by the time I'm up, you know, people have already commented on it, or chatted, or just, you know, connected in some way, or just, you know, responded. And, you know, and of course that's not a necessary thing, but it's just so nice, because I'm like, oh, okay, it's like there are others already upon waking up that are having a similar experience that I am today. Right. And then you're saying good night. And then I watch it, you know, for a few hours afterwards, you know, because you all go to sleep, and then if it's kind of like the States are still talking, and like Australia is still in the mix, right? And we're all in these crazy time zones. So there really is at any given time someone there. And I just, that to me, like that space that, you know, that you founded and everyone helps create, and all of that is just so beautiful. I know Bridget has been a huge proponent and support, you know, coaching you as well, of course, because as Mama Dragon, like that's what she does. She's really good at pushing us.
She taught me tarot. So although I must say, she didn't teach me to read it how I read it.
Right.
She gave me the foundations, and I honestly never thought I'd do tarot. I said, I don't understand it. Like what? Like, the Ace of Ponky Ponks, like what? It's just so out there. So yeah, like, but that's a good thing. You don't ever doubt what you can do, because it's amazing if you have the right head. You think, right, I'm going to do this. It's amazing what you can achieve.
Yeah. And the connections, and it opens your heart up, and the love. I've just seen, you know, and I can say this because like I've also grown in the same time period of like when we met all of those many months ago. We're coming up on a year now, believe it or not. Like if it feels like I've known you obviously for lifetimes we've been together, but like in this lifetime of how quickly, just how quickly it's changed and we've grown. Yeah, I love that you read the tarot with no rules. Like that speaks to my Aquarian wild side. Obviously with Soul Speak and all the fun stuff that I do, I'm like, yes, like this is like the Wild West. But you still like, I think even still the cards speak to you in such a way, right? And it's just so beautiful. You said some things where I'm like, that's amazing. Like how you can infer that. But I mean, that's truly, like you said, is trusting and believing in yourself and the message, and knowing that it's needed in that time. And sometimes it's just the card that they need to see to connect with, you know. You've said that before. Just so many beautiful things. I just love you, girl. Like I'm so grateful for you. I thank you so much for coming on today. Y'all, if you haven't had a chance to connect with Laura or Sending Butterflies, please go over there and check it out. I know you don't categorize yourself as a coach, but you are an amazing coach, a beautiful supporter. It is truly a lifetime commitment that you make for everyone. You literally, like you walk the talk. I've seen it. So for those that are in dark places and aren't really feeling like they really need something, like truly just, you're like a freaking rose. Like I can't like your heart space is just so beautiful. Like I know we've connected directly. Please connect with Laura, Ascending Butterflies, if you haven't already. Obviously you can come to me too, like PM, like you don't have to be out there. Like we will always make it work and always create a space that is, because we do have some chats that are dedicated to just like really supporting one person. And there's, you know, in some of the chats, there's 8 or 9 of us, and we just all kind of, we ebb and flow, and that's what it needs, you know. Like you said, like we're in this together, and I'm just so grateful for you. So guys, please go check out Ascending Butterflies. Please go do it. If you have, I'm sure. Yeah. Thank you, Laura. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we kind of roll off, or you feel good?
No, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. I'm happy. I'm relaxed.
Yeah.
No, I don't have, honestly, I don't have anything. People that are there already know me, and they know they take me as I come, and that's it. You can't. The one thing I will say, and this is very quick, is if you're going to be promoting accepting yourself and you're going to be trying to get people to embrace it, you really have to mean it yourself. So always stand in conviction of what you're saying and doing. Like my tarot reading's not for everyone, and I will say, if you're not enjoying it, if it's not for you, then, you know, please don't watch, you know, but I'm not going to change it, because then I'm changing who I am, and I'm all about not changing who you are. So I think that's the only thing I would end with. You've got to stand in conviction of yourself and don't back down. Don't put yourself in a box, and don't let anyone dull you or dilute you.
I love it. I love you so much, Queen. Thank you so much for joining today. And, you know, if you know anyone that could use some of Laura's medicine, please send them along too. You've just helped so many people, and I'm so grateful for, and I know, like, just seeing, I just love hearing your excitement when we talk about people thriving that we've been working with, and just, you know, it's just so great to see it. So thank you so much for all of the work that you do, all the love that you give, all the wisdom, all the advice, all the laughter. So much laughter. There's so much. Sometimes I think I'm like, I'm just never gonna look at like seagulls or peacocks the same way ever again. Like ever.
No, I know.
and for the rest of my life, right? So like however long I live, every single time I'm gonna be like, I'm going to be in that moment of like pure joy. So I appreciate you so much for that.
Pentacles. You'll never look at pentacles the same, will you?
Oh, no, definitely not. like that for like a week straight. Everyone's like, what's so funny? I was like, pentacles. It's, you can't even tell you why. Oh, great. All right. Guys, we're going to log off here. Laura, please stay on afterwards. We can have a proper goodbye. Please, guys, check out SaiYunaste. Go hop over to Ascending Butterflies. We will find things, connect with, share, post, like do all the good stuff that brings you joy. Like, you know, we're in it together. So until next time, friends.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Ending broadcast.